Yeah, last week was kind of a slow week at the movies for me, so I'm yet to see something new. However, a video is definitely due, and with Shark Week just recently happening, why not talk about this awesome movie? So Jaws is a horror, thriller, monster movie directed by Steven Spielberg about a killer shark, and it stands as one of the greatest movies ever made. I mean, really, this is just one of those movies that I look back on, and it really makes me feel like they just don't make them like this anymore. Now let me explain to you why I think that. And that's a spoiler warning. If you have not seen Jaws yet, where have you been? So in the first scene in this movie, we see what appears to be just a ton of college kids. They're having a bonfire at the beach around dawn, and one of these girls gets one of these guys to go swimming with her. And obviously he says yes, because when a hot girl asks you to go skinny dipping with her, you don't just pass that up. Unfortunately, this guy's too drunk to swim or even undress himself, so eventually he just passes out on the beach. She, however, does go swimming, and it all seems so right and peaceful with the world, until she starts getting tugged underwater, which eventually leads to her getting thrashed around the ocean by something that eventually drowns her. Which, when you see it for the first time, leaves you going, what the hell? Later on that morning, Amity Island's police chief Martin Brody is called in to investigate the disappearance of this girl. He eventually finds her remains washed up on the beach, and he comes to the conclusion that it was from a shark attack, and now the beaches need to be closed. However, the mayor of Amity Island, he's not digging the idea of telling the people that there's a shark in their beach, and he feels he should tell the people that, she was killed by a boating accident or whatever. And he's basically one of those characters that you find in just about every movie ever made that's solely there to just piss you off. I mean, this guy just throughout the whole movie just refuses to believe the idea that there's a shark in the ocean and they need to keep the beaches open to the public. I mean, I get his intentions because Amity Island is a summer town and that is where they get pretty much their entire income. But you can't just completely ignore the safety of the people like that. However, since he holds authority over Chief Brody, that's just the way it needs to be. So later on, everyone is at the beach, including Chief Brody with his family. One kid goes back out onto the water with his raft. His mom tried to get him to stay out because I guess his hands are starting to get too clammy or something. Meanwhile, he should have listened to his mom if he knew what was gonna happen to him. We also see this other dude playing fetch with his black lab, apparently named Tippet, I guess. Eventually, his owner starts calling him back up, but all we see is the floating stick in the water. Yeah, you know what happened. And in this scene, I'm thinking, one, who names their dog Tippet? Like, is that even a real legit name for anything? Names like that are why Name Your Dog sites were invented for the world. And two, and more importantly, why did a dog have to be killed in this movie? It just made me sad for no reason. So now we switch back to the kid on the raft, and the camera is slowly zooming in on him while the music starts to kick on. And I really need to touch on John Williams' musical score for this movie. I mean, he is one of, if not the greatest composer for music in movies ever. And the theme he made for Jaws is incredible! I mean, it's just so haunting and menacing and intense that it gives a scene in this movie just that much more of a fear factor towards it. Which is very important for a horror movie, because if you can add really intense, scary, and dramatic music for it, it's only going to further help you put audiences on the edge of their seat. I mean, I don't really watch horror movies because I'm a bitch. But I do know that a lot of horror movies neglect something like that. And that's just one of the reasons why they really aren't that good anymore. So eventually the shark knocks the boy over his raft and just devours him. And with that incident, people are now convinced there is a shark in the water and it needs to be taken care of. The boy's mother even offering a $3,000 bounty for the shark dead. And it's at a town meeting we officially meet Captain Quint. This guy is a professional shark hunter who personally volunteers to catch and kill the shark himself for $10,000. But I'll get back to him later on. And eventually these two dumbass fishermen try to catch the shark themselves later on that night by tying a holiday roast to the wooden dock they're on as bait for the shark. But the question I have is, what do they think to do after that? I mean, what, do they feel the shark won't be able to pull this meat off from this little piece of wood? And it's just eventually going to tuck around and they're just going to be able to, casually pull this thing back into shore? I mean, personally, I don't know what's scarier, the man-eating shark or the fact that this movie addresses that there really are dipshits like that who live in this world. Of course it doesn't work, and the shark just takes the roast while ripping the entire dock in half, which drags one of these guys out into the water with it. The floating dock in the water just 180s it and starts moving directly towards him. Yeah, you can guess what's coming for him. But luckily he's able to swim back to safety while the dock just eventually washes back up on the beach. But again, this was just a scene that I really loved in this movie. Because through John Williams' score and the brilliant execution in this movie, this thing just makes the hair on the back of your neck just stand up without even showing the shark at all in it. When a movie can make you terrified of a floating dock in the water, you know it's doing something right. Eventually the bounty for the shark spreads everywhere and a ton of people show up with boats, guns, and chum with the hopes of catching the shark. One guy that shows up is oceanographer Matt Hooper. Chief Brody has called him in to help out in this situation, and after he examines the remains of the first victim, he can officially confirm this was a shark. In the meantime, this one crew that came for the bounty has caught and killed a tiger shark. However, Hooper isn't quite sold that this is the shark that everyone's looking for. Because 1, the bite radius on this shark differs from that on the victim, and 2, he probably just doesn't buy that these morons were actually able to pull this off. So later that night, he and Brody cut open the shark to examine its digestive tract, and with no human remains found, it's clear that this isn't the shark that's killing everybody. Hooper eventually tracks the area where the shark has been feeding with equipment on his boat, and eventually the two of them track down this wrecked ship belonging to an old fisherman on Amity Island. So Hooper decides to go in the water where this shark has been feeding in order to figure out some more information. Yep, that's right, he just went into the feeding area of this man-eating shark that could very well still be there. Sheesh, surprised the boat didn't just sink from the size of this guy's balls. He checks out the wreckage, eventually finding the tooth of a great white shark. Unfortunately, he drops it when the half-eaten corpse of the fisherman just comes out of nowhere at him. It scares the hell out of him, and it scares the hell out of the rest of us. That's how you pull off a jump scare. Take that, shitty horror movies released today that I'm too afraid to watch. They try to explain what happened to the mayor, but unfortunately with no proof, he decides he's going to keep the beaches open for the 4th of July. Alright, dumbass. But when you're facing a lawsuit from some rich tourist because you didn't protect the people from the shark, you got no one to blame but yourself. That doesn't actually happen, but I'm just saying. So the beaches are open, but luckily everyone is taking every possible security measure they can for this situation. They got boats, guns, a chopper, everything they need to try to track down a shark. Eventually they do find a floating fin, and of course everyone just freaks out until you find out it was just these two kids playing a prank on everybody. Best part is the little one tries to pull the whole, "He made me do it. He talked me into it." So all seems like just a false alarm until someone sees the actual shark going into the pond section of the beach. And in the pond is Chief Brody's son and his friends sitting in a boat. The shark shows up, which we now at last, at least briefly see in this scene. He eats some guy in a canoe, which puts Brody's son into shock. Luckily, his friends are able to get him and themselves to shore alive, but this situation is now the final straw for Chief Brody. He finally gets the mayor to agree to hire Quint to kill the shark. They agree to Quint's terms, and Quint also agrees to allow Brody and Hooper to come with him as assistants. And it's from this moment until the very end of the movie that we find out that Quint is just one of the greatest supporting characters ever. This guy is just fearless, he's badass, and he is hysterical. He delivers some of the funniest one-liners you will ever hear in a movie. "Oi, Chief, I see you got your rubbers. Hooper, idiot, stop it! Ain't you watching it?" That's just 2 of like the other 300 he has in this movie. And as crazy as he might be, we actually see that he's actually very smart when it comes to situations like this. He immediately orders these giant barrels shot onto the shark so it won't be able to go underwater and therefore allow them to track it easier. And it's in these moments we finally see the shark fully for what it is. And this shark is just awesome. It's a 25-foot, 3-ton shark that just toys with the 3 characters in all of their attempts to try to kill it. It's what causes Brody to suggest that they get a bigger boat. But I love how patient the movie was in showing the shark in this movie. I mean, we don't really see the shark until the final third of this movie. Which is great because not only do you admire how threatening and terrifying the shark is, but also the fact that now the audience fully appreciates whenever they see the shark on screen. Some movies, when they have like a monster or a demon or whatever in their movie, they try to just shove it down the audience's throat to the point where not only do they get sick of it, but it only will make the movie a lot less scary than it could be. But not here, though. And it's later that night the 3 characters start to get to know each other a little bit more. And here we realize Quint is in fact a survivor on the USS Indianapolis. He talks about how after the vessel delivered the Hiroshima bomb, it got taken out by the Japanese where soon enough most of the men are eaten by sharks. And this is what most people, including myself, consider to be the best scene in the entire movie. I mean, Quint not only describes the sinking so vividly, nor how he was rescued, but also what you see when a shark is feeding and hunting, and also the fear that just goes through you, knowing that at any second you could be the next one that dies. 1,100 men go into the water, 316 men come out, the sharks took the rest, and I'll never put on a life jacket again. Shortly after, though, the shark starts ramming into the boat, which eventually causes some damages and leaks towards it. However, as I was watching this the other day, I noticed that while they were outside on the ship, I saw a couple of shooting stars out there in the night sky in the movie. And I know that sounds really random of me to point out. No doubt, I guess they just had happened to be filming on a night where they were shooting stars in the sky. I don't know, I just thought that was something really cool to see, so try to see if you can spot it next time you're watching Jaws. And later the next day, they're really starting to run out of ideas on how to kill the shark. Until Hooper gets the idea of going into a shark cage he brought with him with a poison fishing spear that he can inject into the shark's mouth, which in theory should kill it. He's in the cage, he's awaiting the shark, but it just bumps the cage, which causes Hooper to do the one thing he could not do in this situation: lose the spear. Now the shark is slowly breaking the cage, trying to get to Hooper to eat him. But Hooper, after shitting himself, is able to swim away from the cage without the shark noticing him. But now the shark resurfaces, it breaches onto the boat, which causes Quint to slip into the shark's mouth. It's thrashing him everywhere, he tries to stab it with a machete, but it's to no avail. The shark kills him and consumes him underwater. Now the ship has been upended, it's beginning to sink, and the shark, after eating Quint, is now coming after Brody for seconds. Luckily though, he's able to stuff an air tank into its mouth and climb away from the shark. Now armed with a rifle, Brody now finally has a chance to kill this thing. The shark starts swimming back towards him, Brody takes a few shots with the rifle and misses. And then comes not only my favorite line in the whole movie, but one of my favorite lines in movies ever. Brody takes aim at the shark one last time, and looking at eye to eye, he says, "Smile, you son of a bitch!" He fires and the shark's head just blows up in a giant explosion of blood everywhere. Brody laughs victoriously as the shark's lifeless body sinks to the depths. Hooper resurfaces as well, the two of them rejoice over the shark finally being killed, and together they make a little makeshift raft with two of the barrels and start paddling back to shore as the movie ends. And thus concludes one of my favorite movies of all time. Jaws, I feel, is just a clear milestone in movies, especially with the horror genre. Because this movie just did everything right. Characters that you care about. Music that gets you on the edge of your seat. A monster that's shown just the right amount. And really only relies on maybe a couple jump scares that only lead to something bigger and scarier in the movie. But most importantly, the sign of a great horror movie is one that stays with you after you watch it. A movie that just puts something in your mind that just keeps you up at night and leaves you too scared to do something or go somewhere. And I'll phrase it like this: Jaws was released 40 years ago now, and it still, to this day, has people afraid to go swimming in the ocean, and has basically made sharks the most feared animal in the world. They don't make movies like this anymore, and I just don't know why. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.